Hello everybody, it's Dana Sullivan, the Stampin' Chick, here with another Make It Monday! How are you today, my friends? I hope you had a fabulous weekend. As you can see, I am not live this evening. I apologize for that, but I have some family obligations that I have to be taking care of during my normal Make It Monday live. And things are kind of crazy busy around here, and I didn't want to miss out on doing a video with you, so I have pre-recorded this video to share today's project and this week's Make It Monday project with you. So Father's Day is coming up next weekend, and or rather this weekend. And you know, it's sometimes hard to find masculine cards, but Stampin' Up! Has presented us with an amazing product suite called He's All That, and this is in the 2022 annual catalog, so I'm able to show it to you. It's on page 78 and 79 of your catalog, and it has some absolutely gorgeous designer series papers, and something unique to this designer series paper is that there are a couple of sheets of die cut pieces as well. So some of the things that you're seeing over here on this page are using those die cut pieces to embellish and pretty much put together the card, which is absolutely fabulous. It makes quick and easy work of a masculine project, which I absolutely love. However, I am not going to be using the DSP with you today because once the DSP is all used up and you have this stamp set, I really want to be able to show you things that you can do with the stamp set and just some cardstock, right? So today's project is going to be all about that. We're going to be using the He's All That Stamp and Die bundle. And I love this one because not only do you have these really cute medallion types that could be for, you know, anything. They don't have to be masculine at all. But then you've got Wishing You a Happy Father's Day, Love This Guy, Hello Handsome, To the Man Who Does Everything. It's a terrific guys stamp set. Absolutely love it. And the dies are fabulous too. In fact, the dies are great even without the stamp set because you have these really cute little argyle pieces that actually cut out the filigree. It's really finely detailed. And then you have some really cool labels and banners. And, you know, since we've had some of our labels die cuts, or dies rather, retire with the last catalog, it was really nice to see these ones. So you're going to be seeing these a lot in the future here on my channel anyway, because I absolutely love them. So we're going to be using the Stamp and Die bundle. We're also going to use the rustic metallic dots. These are part of that collection, and I just love them because they're metal, they're a fairly low profile, and they've got that brushed bronze look that I absolutely love. So we're going to use those. We're also going to be using Cajun Craze ink and Versamark ink. And then, as you can see from my sample, we're going to be using some of that faux suede early espresso ribbon. I absolutely love this ribbon. I love this ribbon for all sorts of things, but especially for masculine cards. It's just perfect because what screams masculine more than leather? I love it. Okay, now the supplies that you'll need for this card are going to be an 8.5 by 5.5 card base scored at 4 1/4. This is soft succulent cardstock. And of course, I'm going to burnish my line there, so I've got a nice crisp card. And then you're going to need a piece of 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 also of soft succulent cardstock, which, as you can see, I've embossed with the brick and mortar embossing folder. I absolutely love this embossing folder. It is one of my go-tos. It's so much fun. I love it. All right, so that's going to go there. And then I have a strip of Let's see, this is 1¼ inch by 5 3/8 inch of early espresso. And this is actually just going to be an accent piece. We're going to tear it, so we're going to make some texture there. But that'll go there. And then I have a piece of Sahara sand that measures 2 3/4 by 5 3/8 inch. And it's going to layer right over the top just like that. Okay, and then I have the medallion that is die cut from the die set. As you can see, it also does some embossing. It does this really nice little ring right around the middle there. And this piece would be a 2 1/4 inch square of crushed curry cardstock that I used to die cut that piece out with. And then I've gone ahead and stamped this piece for time's sake. And of course I've stamped it in Cajun Craze ink. And this is very vanilla cardstock. It would have been 2 1/8 inch square. And you can do this one of two ways, okay? One way is to make this 2 1/4 inch square and cut another of these medallions and then cut along the embossed edge, and that will give you the perfectly sized layer to go on top of here. The other way is the way that I've done, and it's just slightly bigger, and I mean just slightly bigger. I have used the 4th smallest of the layering circles dies to cut that sentiment section out there. And when I put it on here, you can see that it lines up just at the outer rim of that embossed layer, or the embossed ring there. So it's just microscopically bigger around than the center section of this, which works out perfectly. So if you don't like to fussy cut, or if you're afraid you can't fussy cut a smooth circle, then that's certainly the option, and that's what I've done here. Now, for my sample, I actually did die cut it and then cut around it so that it is the exact size, but you can tell there's not a whole lot of difference between the two, so you're really not going to be able to tell. It's entirely up to you. Okay, and then I have 2 pieces of cardstock for the inside of the card. This is early espresso. It measures 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and very vanilla that measures 4 by 5 1/4. And as you probably know by those measurements, it makes the perfectly sized mat for the inside of the card. So when I put that together and then put it inside, it's going to leave a really nice, simple little border all the way around. Okay? All right, so now that we have that done, let's go ahead and get this card put together. Now, as you probably noticed, I've done a little bit of the work ahead just because I don't want the video to take too long, because then it takes forever to upload. You guys know I live out in the country and my service is sometimes spotty at best. So in an effort to make this a little easier, I'm just going to keep it simple. Okay, I am using Stampin' Seal to attach my embossed layer to the front of the card. And then I'm going to take my early espresso cardstock and I'm going to tear it towards me. Now, the reason I'm tearing it towards me is because when you do this, you're actually adding a second layer of trim, so to speak. And I'm going to show you what I mean. Okay, so this is the way I tore it. And if you notice, this side has that edge that was torn away from the back side of this piece, right? So it gives that extra bit of texture. Now, I could just as easy do it the other way, and then as you can see, it doesn't have that extra bit of texture, but it still looks nice. So it's entirely up to you which direction you go, but I really like having this extra bit. So I tear towards me, okay? If you don't want it, then you can tear away from you or just flip it over, you know, whichever you want to do. Okay, so I have that done. Now, I started on this because I wanted you to be able to see what it looks like dry versus what it looks like when you first stamp it. But this is done with Versamark. And I love Versamark because you can get a tone-on-tone look with literally any color of cardstock that you use simply by stamping this clear ink. So it's very versatile. And all you do is just stamp it right down on the paper just like you do any other ink. And you can see how light it is when I stamp it. But once it's dry, it darkens up a little bit, okay? So when you first stamp it and you say, oh gosh, that's a little bit too light, don't worry, it darkens up just a little bit, okay? So once I have that stamped, and of course you can see here that I've stamped that all over this panel, okay? And now I'm gonna take my Stampin' Seal again and run a little bit of adhesive along the untorn edge of my early espresso and along this edge of my Sahara Sand. Oh, now this I can show you. So this is the difference between the Versamark and Sahara Sand. So if I'm doing tone on tone, this is what it would look like if I'm just using the Versamark ink, okay? And then this, it's a bit darker, a bit richer, and this is using Sahara Sand ink on Sahara Sand cardstock. So you can see how there's a bit of difference there. If you want a nice subtle image in the background, you want to use Versamark. Think about a watermark is not really in the foreground. It's just a subtle picture within the picture, right? That's Versamark. Versamark, watermark, you get it. And then the Sahara Sand ink directly onto the Sahara Sand cardstock still looks very pretty, but it's more rich and bold and kind of in your face, okay? All right, so now that I have my adhesive on the back of that piece and on the front of this one, I'm just gonna line it up here. And if you need to trim off any, it's totally okay to do that right about now. There we go, just a little bit. It's actually because I'm a little low right there, I think, but that's okay too. All right, now then, I'm gonna adhere this piece directly to my card front. So I want to attach this with Stampin' Seal. Make sure I've got that the right direction. And I'm just lining it up with the embossed edge. I'm not actually lining it up with the edge of the card. So there will still be the slightest bit of a soft, succulent edge. Oh, and as I did that, I messed up. Eek! So what you actually want to do is tie your ribbon around this piece first. Oops! Hold on just a second here. So because we got this really quickly after we touched it down, we're able to lift that paper, thankfully. Woo, that could have been bad. All right, do as I say, not as I do. Okay, we want to put our ribbon under here first, and then we want to tack that down. There we go. Okay, and then I'm gonna pull it just a bit because I actually want my knot to be over here. So I've got this, and this is approximately 12 inches of ribbon, and as you can see already, it's quite a bit of excess. If you have the roll in hand, I always recommend tying it directly from the roll. That way you don't waste all of this excess ribbon. So I'm getting ready to cut a bunch off of here. Now I'm going to save these scraps because they are actually long enough that I can use them for some little small embellishment type projects. So I'm not going to throw these away. I could fold it in half and make it like a little tag, something like this on a piece of cardstock. Let me see if I can, there we go, something like this perhaps. You see what I'm saying? So I'll save that scrap for something else, okay? All right, so now that I've got this piece done, and I can push that back down because now I'm ready to do that. All right, now I have my sentiment piece, and I'm gonna put dimensionals between each of these layers. All right, so not only am I going to put dimensionals behind the vanilla piece, but I'm also going to put dimensionals behind the crushed curry piece. Okay, now I want to kind of stagger these so that they're not right on top of each other, and that will actually help reduce some of the bulk from having multiple layers of dimension. Now you don't really have to worry about it too much when you only have 2 layers, because you guys probably have heard me say that 2 layers is pretty well okay as far as mailing cards go. You don't want to do too much more than that, because otherwise it starts to get really bulky and then you kind of have issues. Okay, so we've got our 2 layers, and what I mean by staggering the dimensionals is that on the front panel I have 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. So I've moved them over just a little bit so that they're not lining directly on top of each other. Okay, and now I'm going to put this piece down right there. Okay, just like that. And we are almost finished with the front. I need to take some of these rustic metallic adhesive back dots, and I'm going to use the bigger ones. So I'm just going to put one right about there, one right about here, and one right about here. Okay, I think that's good. All right, now for the inside of the card. First things first, I know that I can go ahead and attach the early espresso piece to the inside. Okay, and it's just going to line up with the slightest little border all the way around. There we go. Now on this piece, I'm simply stamping Hello Handsome in Cajun Craze. Now I really like this stamp because it has that cute little mustache on there. I think that's fun. Okay, so let's see if we can line this up. There we go. Fabulous. All right, and then we're going to put this on the inside. Now I'm going to just kind of shake this a little bit. I want it to dry. It doesn't take but a second, but sometimes these richer inks take just a second or so longer than others, and we wouldn't want to smear the ink, would we? So there we go. All right, now then, line this up right in the middle of that, and we are fabulous. All right, now what do I always say? No naked insides and no naked envelopes. So the envelope is going to have that Together for the Long Haul stamped on the top and the bottom. Okay, so I'm gonna take that, and I've already got it done here. I've got one on the front and one on the back, and we are done, right? Okay, so what do you think about that? I hope that you guys enjoyed today's Make It Monday project. You'll be able to find all of the details as well as the supply list over on my blog, and you can visit thestampinchick.com. It'll take you right to today's post, or if you're watching this on YouTube, there'll be a link down in the description below, as well as the supply list for all of the things that I used today. So you'll be able to click on them and go directly over to my website to order. Now, I would love to invite you to order from my website. I am so excited to say that I am right on track to earn the incentive trip for the very first time ever. I will tell you that it has been a lot of hard work, and Stampin' Up! Requires the disclaimer about less than 1% of Stampin' Up! Demonstrators earn the incentive trip, and that's because it's work, friends. But you know what? It's been a lot of fun, and I am so excited about it, but I could certainly use your help. So if you would like to purchase anything, I would love to have your business. If I'm already your demonstrator, you guys know how to reach out to me. And if I'm not already your demonstrator, I would love to be your demonstrator. So you can visit my website, danasullivan.stampinup.net, or thestampinchick.com, and find all kinds of fun projects and the shopping list as well. Okay? All right, guys. Thank you all so much for being with me today. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. And until next time, my friends, bye for now.